Hello, good morning, have a good day. So, I am RPM Castellone and I'm studying here in New Era University for my doctorate, major in special education. So today I'm going to share with you my topic about segregated education. So but before that, let me give you a short background about myself. I am RPM Castellone and I've been in the teaching field for 14 years and I used to be a public school teacher in the Philippines for 11 years, and currently I'm here in New Mexico, teaching as a special education teacher in English and mathematics. So I'm honored to present to you and share with you my topic about segregated education. So, but before that, let me greet our dearest professor, Miss Doris Lynn Tagunda. So to start my discussion, I want you guys to take a look at the picture, then try to uh, describe it by yourself in your mind, and try to go make an impression about this picture. Then later, I'm going to ask you two questions about these pictures. Okay? So I think everyone is ready. So let's move to my first question. So my first question is, what is the difference among the two? So let's focus on the word difference. I want you guys to see the differences among this first, second, and third one. So you can share something like out of this picture for as long as it's related, or you can connect it with this picture. That's fine for me. Okay. Thank you so much for your information. So let's proceed to the second question, which is, what is the common thing about these three pictures? So what is the common thing? Thank you so much. So the first picture, as you can see, is the gray dots represent students who are regular students, and the dots with different colors are students with disabilities or special needs. So I put them different colors because it signifies the individual disabilities that they have in the class. So as you can see, the special education students here are covered, okay? So in this picture, as you can see, despite of their different disabilities, they are placed in one section of the four corner of the classroom, but still they are part of the regular classroom. And the third one is this one, segregated. So as you can see, you are in a one school. Let's say that circle is one school or one institution. Then the students who are regular are separated from the students who have disabilities or students with special needs. So I hope you are having clear differentiations about these three pictures. So what is segregated education actually? So based on my research, so I got the most simplest one. So in simple words, it is when disabled students are segregated in a separate classroom or schools because of their disability. So basically, when we have self-contained class, that is already a segregated education. That self-contained is within the school. Or it could be like separated class outside of the school. So that is also an example of segregated education. So when we separate the students with special need from the regular students, that's exactly what it meant, segregated education. So another definition is special education means specifically designed instructions which meet the special education and related needs of an exceptional. So once the students are not integrated, but they are segregated from the regular class Basically, we are designing specific instructions for them because we all know that regular students and the students with disabilities have different skills or level of understanding. So we have to design instructions for the students for them to learn. Okay. One more thing is it is not entirely different from the education of average children. So why is that so? Because average students, um, I mean, we are experiencing those situations that we are having average children, and with the science instruction for them. Then it is not entirely different because even you are segregated, even you are teaching in a segregated education, you are still following the curriculum, but you are trying to apply the modification and accommodation. Next is it includes those aspects of education which are specific in addition to the regular program for all children. So, in segregated education, as I have said a while back, that we are designing instructions. And we are designing instructions based on the level, based on the performance level of the student, or based on their needs, basically. So, yeah, you have to consider those aspects to teach these students. It is something special material, special training techniques, special equipment, and special help. Special facilities may be required for special categories of children having special needs. So, segregated education is special. It is a special school with segregated education where we are not only modifying lessons, we are trying to make instructions, models that will fit to the needs of the student. So you cannot give students like a long story with 5 chapters to the student with special needs. That won't work. So you have to have materials that is designed for their needs. So, so this is a question. What are the goals of segregated education? So as for me, when I say education, it's for everybody. It's for everyone. It's for every student. So whether you have a disability or you don't have, you have to have this education in part of the goals. Okay. So the first one here is special education has the same attributes as those of regular education. So as what I have said, so if you are aiming for quality education, students with disability, they deserve it as well. If you are aiming to get all your students improved in different subject areas, that's going to be done with the students with special needs. Second one is human resources development through providing appropriate education for children. So I know you are familiar with different like uniqueness of the students. So we have to be like a person or human resources that will address the needs of our students diversely and uniquely. So if you are teaching in a segregated education, you have to see each one of your students on differences. You have to know their weakness, you have to know their strengths. So with that, you can go and you can provide a proper education for your students. So in here, I have 4 goals. National development. When we say national development, it's development of a whole country. So in order for us to achieve this one, we have to have equal and equity goal for special education students. Focus on quality education by providing both sides, both group of students with regular and special ones. Social reconstructions. So why this one is really important? Because the stigma that we are having before and even up to this day, that there's still people like they are trying to make um, like words describing the students in a wrong manner, and that is something that we have to address at the same time. We have to teach our friends, our people, our students, or everyone around you. You have to tell them that we should have this balanced treatment with the people with disability and those regular students. So civic development. So civic development, this one implies about um, the the changes or the challenges or the improvement that's happening in our present life. So you have to be like a person that will push through the importance of having special education in your place. So like for example, you are a teacher, you are teaching in a public school, then you see someone like with disability in your area, so you can be somebody to teach that student. So be a human resource to let the other students experience the quality of education that we are having. Then the third one is vocational efficiency. So this vocational efficiency has this the following. So early intervention and assessment of special needs of disabled children. So before we have a lot of assessments done by the schools, but it's not that like professional staff or professionally done. So in here, we are trying to have like early intervention as early as they like 3 years old. We have to check the students if there is something wrong with them. So with that, as early as that, we can help them uh, right there or right away. So early intervention to prevent handicapping condition from become a serious one for remediation of learning problems. So that's what I said. We have to identify the students by having interventions so that we can see if the students have problems, so we can help them improve like from that very young age. So with that, if we help the students as early as that, so as the year goes by, they can cope up with regular education. So parent counseling about prevention and remediation of defects, care and training of disabled children. So in here, we have a lot of programs or interventions that we are teaching parents on how to deal with their children with special needs. So because even in regular education, the parents are our partners, wherein they are teaching their students at home. So it's a different story that if you have a students or if you have a children with special needs, so you have to cope with it. So you have to know how to deal with them. You know how to teach them. So basically, it's teaching the parents to have background about special education. Then the community mobilization and awareness of problems of disabled. So yeah, in your community, we are spreading awareness of having equal treatment with special education students. So with that, we can balance the social reconstruction within our community. So to develop concepts that strategically determined for effective leading. So if the people in your community have this knowledge about special education, for sure they can help those students with special needs. They can treat the students with special need. They're gonna appreciate them. So basically, we can avoid bullying, labeling to the people with special needs, something like that. Okay. So let's proceed. So before we proceed, do you have any questions or something to share? So you are free to do that. Okay. So what are the characteristics of segregated education? So my thinking here is what it looks like to have segregated education classroom. So this time I'm gonna give you views about a segregated education. Okay. So segregated education is meant for exceptional children who need that is who needs special individualized attention. So as what I've said, as what I have mentioned, that student um, with special need to be addressed based on their needs, based on their strength, based on their weakness, and based on their capabilities. So a team of professionals, so special educators, regular classroom teachers, psychologists, speech therapists, psychotherapists, and specialist doctor bear the primary responsibility for helping exceptional children maximize their capabilities. So whoever the person working with students with disabilities, our main goal is to push them to achieve their capabilities and to maximize it for them to be like independent person in the near future or in their present life. Then segregated education or special education is differentiated from regular education by its curriculum. So that is by what is taught. For example, teaching self-help skills or training in reading and writing. So, as what I've said, to have equal distribution of curriculum, we are using this both regular and special education. But the thing is, in special education, we are trying to divide it into smaller like topic for them to get this one because we cannot teach students like with disabilities with a lot of topic, so we have to modify it for them to catch up. So in regular education, the school system dictates the curriculum, but in special education, the child's individual needs dictate the curriculum. So here, the in regular education, the school imposes curriculum to use. But if you're going to be assigned in teaching or segregated education or special education in general, you have to consider the child's individual aspect. Then the curriculum will be modified based on the student's need. Okay. A special education is differentiated from regular education by methods used by the teachers. So one special educator may use sign language to communicate with his students. So yeah, so as what I have said a while back, that if you are going to be teaching students with a lot of lessons.
Please excuse this interruption. Can I please have Abel Acosta to the front office, please? Abel Acosta to the front office, please. You're going home. Thank you.
Okay, sorry for that. So let's going back here. So we are using a lot of accommodations to teach students with really like serious disabilities like blind, deaf. So we have to use this sign language for them to cope up. So if you are familiar with the use of Braille, you are using that in the Philippines to the students who are blind. Then another special educator may use task analysis and skills training for mentally retarded children. Or I just want to say this one, mentally retarded is already deleted in here in America, so they changed that into intellectual disability. Why? If you're gonna read a story about Rosella, there's a story about a young little girl with Down syndrome or intellect, or she was called by many people like mentally retarded, and the effect of doing that, the student didn't want to go to school anymore. So what happened was that kid went to the United States, or like the Malacanang, or yeah, that's the time that they changed it into intellectual disability. So if you're gonna search words here in America, these words are not used anymore. So they changed it into intellectual disability or the ID instead of saying mentally retarded. So special education is a profession, a service with tools and techniques to meet special needs of exceptional children. So it says that the special education is not our it's not our job. It's our profession and passion to embrace it for us to be an effective special education with students with disabilities. Because if you're gonna be teaching a special education student and you don't like it, the result will be not effective. So special education is individually planned, systematically implemented, and carefully evaluated instructions to help exceptional learners self-efficiency. So yeah, we are teaching special education students because we are considering their differences. Okay. So what are the principles of having a segregated education? So in here we have six principles. The principles of individual differences, wherein we have to know their individual differences and uniqueness. So because not everybody have the same like there's no exact two people with the same characteristics. Do you know what I mean? So like for example we have the same disability, but still there are differences between us. So principle of zero rejection. So all over the Philippines and all over the United States, you are not allowed to reject any students enrolling in your school. So you have to accept them, get them, and teach them. So principle of non-discriminatory evaluation. So if you are students with special needs and you need this evaluation, they are not going to tell you you're not allowed to do this. So it's not that thing. So it's like there's no discrimination at all. So principle of individualized education program. So yeah, all the students with special needs or under special education program, they should have this IEP or individualized education program. Then principle of the less restrictive environment or the LRE. So I'm not going to discuss this one because one of my classmates is assigned to have discussion about this one. So the principle of parental participation. So we all know that parents are always served as important partners in educating our students, both regular and special. So what are the needs, importance? What are the needs and importance of segregated education? So what are the needs and importance? Okay. So needs and importance. A severely deviant child is not supposed to take part in the routine activities meant for normal children. He will either be frustrated there or frustrate others. Thus, the whole teaching learning process will be disturbed. The proper adjustment into society needs special learning arrangement for children. So here's the thing. If you think one of your students is making issues inside of your classroom, you have to separate the students because this student is disrupting the whole class, the whole teaching learning process. So there's no very good result. So maybe the affected is the whole group. So sometimes this one. Like for example, I'm gonna take this student because these students won't work better if he is integrated in regular class. So it's different thing. Okay. So this one is affected and this one is affected as well. So when individual differences in learners are found to such an external that all of them cannot be benefited in normal classes. So they are put into category of exceptional or special learning arrangements. So yeah, so that's why we are having special education because we are trying to give them like full attention by having group of students, like a small number of students, or we are grouping them based on their needs, or we are grouping them based on their disabilities. So as exceptional children cannot take the benefits of regular classes due to their unique needs and abilities. So the one that I mentioned is like we cannot include one student in a regular class if that is not beneficial to the student or not beneficial to the other students. Okay. Special education helps teachers, guardians, researchers, and educational educators to understand specific problem faced by disabled children. So yeah, the importance of having special education is to spread awareness that special education is really part of our education nationally, and yeah, we are giving them awareness that they should take this one seriously and equally. So selective placement is entailed through special education. So it involves a complete assessment of children as well as their social environment by professionally qualified experts and from different fields. So yeah, we are grouping students based on their evaluation. So if the student is evaluated with ID, so group them with the ID people or integrate them with the regular class, there's an assistance like the resource teacher should work with them. Okay. So in here, special education requires many auxiliary services. So that's why we are having the push in, pull out. We are like having occupational therapies as therapy, speech and language therapy, behavioral. Those are the auxiliary services that we are giving to our students. So the importance of special education can be associated with the program-based literature in your class. So if in a regular class, a number of special children are present, the teacher will have to devise a method of instruction. So in here, so if you are a regular teacher with special education students, you have to have knowledge about how are you going to differentiate instructions to help them, okay? So to give you a short view about the LRE, so as what I've mentioned, I'm not going to discuss this one because we have a assigned reporter in here. So as you can see in here, from the regular classroom going to the level of difficulty going to the homebound or hospital. So regular classroom with consultation, resource programs, separate classroom, separate school, residential school, and homebound are hospital. So actually the separate school 1, 2, 3, 4, those are examples of segregated education, but they are separated based on their level of difficulty or disabilities. So this is a sample view again, overview for the LRE. So we have the general education, so something like that, okay? So I hope you have learned something from me. Thank you so much. And I want to end my discussion with this. Teacher makes the world and every individual is equal through education despite of its differences and needs and place. So here we go. Thank you so much guys for listening. I hope you have learned something from me, and I want to say that your presence really gave me a confidence to to talk in front of you, and I would love to do this by inspiring you guys with this simple presentation. So with that, thank you so much and have a good